Okay, this is prep test 74, section 1, number 25, and it says, a student says, if a person has an immunity to infection by a microorganism, then that microorganism does not cause them to develop harmful symptoms. Okay, that sounds like a definition of immunity to infection. It's not like the microorganism can't get you and can't breed inside you and can't be there. It's just that you're not going to have harmful symptoms according to this definition of immunity to infection. I don't think most students take that long to sort out that first sentence. I think most students are like, nope, got to hurry up, got to read the next sentence. Even though I didn't really understand the first sentence, I got to hurry on to the second sentence because I got the time pressure going here. But a professional is gonna, or a very strong amateur is gonna take all the time necessary to make sure you understand that sentence. Lawyers read and understand all the words. So if there's an unfamiliar term, or if there's a complicated sentence, or if there's a topic that you don't really love, the lawyer in the room is going to be the one who has the patience to just say, nah, I'm sorry, hold on, I got to just reread this and I got to sort it out. I got to make sure I know what you're talking about. So I took a moment there, and now I understand that you're giving me a definition of immunity to infection by a microorganism, and your definition is just, it doesn't cause you to have harmful symptoms. No more, no less than that. Okay, since many people are exposed to Staphylococcus without developing any harmful symptoms, it follows that they have an immunity to infection by this microorganism. And boy, oh boy, is that an easy question. The reason why that question is easy is that it makes the LSAT's most common flaw. And that flaw has to just start jumping off the page at you. They have confused sufficient for necessary. They have fucked up the contrapositive. They said, if you have immunity, then this thing won't cause you symptoms. Then they said, if you don't have symptoms, therefore you have immunity. And that's just not true. Maybe staph never causes symptoms. How do you know? Or maybe people do get exposed to staph, but then they immediately take a anti-staph drug, and the drug keeps them from getting these harmful symptoms. Did I already say maybe staph doesn't cause harmful symptoms? Okay, it's the LSAT's most common flaw. You have to make sure you're on the lookout for it. The basic form of this flaw is, if you're in Los Angeles, then you're definitely in California. So since John's in California, John has to be in Los Angeles. Stupid, because of Oakland and San Francisco and Bakersfield and every other place you could possibly be in California. It's confusing sufficient for necessary. It's the LSAT's most common flaw. That's just the answer. I mean, when they do that, that's the answer. So you just got to get really tuned into that, and you just got to see it from a mile away. Now, the question turns out to be a matching flaw question. It says the student's argument is most similar in its flawed pattern of reasoning to which one of the following. And so, and one of these answers, A, B, C, D, or E, is gonna also make that same mistake. But you can't do a matching flaw question unless you recognize the flaw in the first place. So here, it's going to be pretty easy for me, because I'm just going to go in and look for the one that does a matching fucked up contrapositive, aka confusing sufficient for necessary. And I might be able to like give you an abstraction of that flaw. I could say, well, I mean, I already did with my LA and California example, but they've said, if A, then B, therefore anyone who has B has to also have A. And that's just not valid reasoning. That's LSAT 101. So, A, everything morally right is just, but some actions that best serve the interests of everyone are not just. Thus, some morally right actions do not serve the interests of everyone. I don't know. That's like very complicated. I would almost just ignore it because it's like not what I'm looking for. B says, advertisers try to persuade people that certain claims are true. Since writers of fiction are not advertisers, they probably never try to persuade people that certain claims are true. That is definitely confusing sufficient for necessary. I would leave that one open. If I don't find anything else that confuses sufficient for necessary, then the answer is B. If I do find something else that confuses sufficient for necessary, then I'm going to be really annoyed, and I'll talk to you about that when it does happen. This could be a really stupid question, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. C, Isabel said that she would take the medication. Obviously, though, she did not take the medication because medication either cures disease or alleviates its symptoms, and she's still quite ill. I hate the either or there. I just don't see how that matches at all. I don't think C is even close. D, when business owners are subjected to excessive taxation, they become less willing to expand their businesses. The recent decline in business expansions thus shows that their taxes are too high. That's going to be the answer. E, studies show that doctors tend to wash their hands less often than any other healthcare professionals. What? I have a hard time believing that. This shows that the procedure cannot be of much value. Okay, so that's just words. That's not even close to confusing sufficient for necessary. This question sucks. I hate when they do this. The answer is D, not B, even though D and B each confuse sufficient for necessary. B did it by negating both terms, whereas D did it by only reversing the two terms. I got to use my whiteboard here for a second, so hold on, because I notice it's getting dark in here, so I have to turn on a light, but I will be right back. I think this question is on the test to differentiate the 178s from the 179s. Notice it's number 25 on the section. If you don't already have 21 or 22 points, you have no business doing this question. I mean that. Don't do this question unless you already have 21, 22 points. Like if you're not scoring 165 or 170, this is not the question for you. You're never going to get this right. If you're not already scoring 165, you're just not going to get this one right. So don't waste your time with it. And it's a stupid question. So if future makers of the LSAT are ever watching this video, please stop doing this. This question is this is so dumb, because what you end up with, unintended consequences, but you end up with smart students who basically understand the flaw of confusing sufficient for necessary. But since B and D each confuse sufficient for necessary, now the reason why it's D and not B is that it's trading on the difference between two things that are not actually different. So excuse me for being like, I have to go into full-on LSAT geek mode about this whole thing. But I want to I submit to you that logically, if the statement is, if you're in LA, then you have to be in California. If that's the given rule, and we all agree that that's true, Los Angeles is in California. If you're in Los Angeles, then you have to be in California. We all agree that that's true. Then what difference does it make if I make the error? So here comes a flaw. It would be a flaw to say everyone in California has to be in LA. That's a flaw. That's stupid because of San Francisco. But it's just as stupid in the exact same way to say if you're not in LA, you can't be in California. And it looks different, like formulaically it looks different, but this is stupid because of San Francisco. This is stupid for the same reason this is stupid. These two statements are actually contrapositives of one another, which means that logically they're the exact same statement, just looked at in a different way. And so if you look again at the given argument here for number 25, the given argument says, if you are immune, then you won't develop symptoms. And then the conclusion is, many people don't develop symptoms, therefore they must be immune. And that's what D does. D says, if you have excessive taxation, you're not going to expand. A lot of people don't want to expand, therefore they must be subject to excessive taxation. And so D matches this. The given argument was this, and D matches this, so D's the answer. But B also, B just does it, the only difference is that B does this instead. So B says, advertisers try to persuade, and advertisers try to persuade, and then it says, therefore, if you're not an advertiser, you can't attempt to persuade. For my money, logically, that's the exact same difference. But I'm a 179 scorer, not a 178 scorer, so I can recognize that the answer here, the paid answer here, is going to be D, not B. But I really think that that's a stupid question, and please, please, makers of the LSAT, please stop doing that. It's stupid. I'm tired of teaching it. I don't see how it benefits anybody that you have that question on the test. You can ask a million other better questions than that. Just stop doing that. Stop it.